Good morning, everybody. Just going to give a minute for everybody to join us, and then we'll start the webinar. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Kara Vincent, and I'm the knowledge translator here at CIPSRT. So we're so happy to have you today at today's talk, Spotlight on Training, Treatment 101 and Other Training Opportunities. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items really quickly. So all attendees, you might have already noticed this, but you're in listen only mode. So we do that to limit background noise and camera feedback, that sort of thing. Today's session is also going to be recorded, and you'll be sent a copy tomorrow automatically by email if you want to watch it again or if you missed something. The GoToWebinar launch window can sometimes be blocked by certain organizations. So if you're having trouble hearing or seeing the presentation right now, you might have to join in by the phone option. And we have set some time aside for questions at the end of the, oops, sorry, that's my slide here. Oops. We've set aside time for questions at the end of the session. You can send us your questions through the question box anytime during the chat, and your question will be addressed at the end. If you would like to remain anonymous for whatever reason in posing your questions, just write, just indicate that in your question in the question box. Our new feature, should you require a French translation in real time during this webinar, please access Wordly, our simultaneous French captioning service, using the following link, which you can see here on the slides. We've also got a QR code, and the link is in the chat. If you want to click that, be sure to keep the Wordly window as well as the GoToWebinar window open at all times, and select French at the top. Select the French option at the top of your Wordly window, and then it will translate from English into French in captions. Okay, so that's our housekeeping. I'm so pleased to welcome our speaker, Rachel Werrett. She is the Manager of Training and Development here at CIPSRT. She previously served as the interim CIPSRT Operations Manager and worked in positions responsible for program development, business development, and management within the University of Regina's Center for Continuing Education. Her mix of project management and program implementation skills, expertise in continuing professional education, and business acumen ensures that all of the programs offered as part of CIPSRT's training pillar are responsive to the needs of Canadian PSP members and their families, PSP leaders, and public safety organizations. And we're so delighted to have her here with us today. And now I will happily turn it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Kara.
You are welcome.
I don't see the option for me to screen share.
No.
Oh, let's try this.
Oh, there we go.
Are we in the right place?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So thanks, Kara, for that introduction. As she already mentioned, my name is Rachel Werrett. I'm the Training and Development Manager here at CIPSRT. I have been at CIPSRT since 2020, as indicated as the Operations Manager, and then previously for many years at Career and Professional Development at the Center for Continuing Education, where I facilitated and was in charge of managing and leading professional development programs in the area of health, leadership, education, leadership management, and project management. So just a little bit about myself. I am a Rider fan. I am from Saskatchewan. So I am a Rider fan. I do enjoy scuba diving. I do also like to run, but I use that term lightly. I call it more like putting one foot in front of the other just to kind of get to a finish line. But I do find it refreshing to be outside. And I do really enjoy traveling. So just a little bit about myself, just so that you kind of know a little bit more about me. So I always like to start my presentations with a land acknowledgement. So the University of Regina and CIPSRT is on Treaty 4 territory with a presence in Treaty 6, which is the homeland of the Métis. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of the Inuit, the Métis, and First Nations people that call this nation their home. Please join us in considering how we can each in our own way move forward in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So a little bit about CIPSRT and the CIPSRT Hub for those that you are not aware. CIPSRT's mission is to provide Canadian public safety personnel with a knowledge exchange hub for safety, wellness, research, and analysis. We work with public safety leaders and academics from across Canada to translate and mobilize research knowledge that meets the current and future needs of Canadian public safety personnel, their leadership, and their families. We are funded via Public Safety Canada here at CIPSRT and are part of the Government of Canada's National Action Plan on Post-Traumatic Stress Injuries. And we are also part of the National Research Consortium, along with the Canadian Institutes for Health Research. We do have three pillars here at CIPSRT, as in the diagram here: research, treatment, which is PSPNet, and training, that lead our activities and support the vision to lead, support, and improve the mental health and well-being of public safety personnel. We are also supported by an amazing external CIPSRT team, which is the Public Safety Steering Committee, and our academic group, which is called the Academic Researcher and Clinician Network, and the Academic Research and Clinician Network Advisory Committee. So when hearing the term public safety personnel, or PSP, most people think of the highly visible professions like firefighters, paramedics, and police, but there are many other types of PSP. For example, border services officers, correctional workers, community outreach workers, search and rescue personnel, and numerous other persons who support all PSP operations. There are also other important public safety personnel who often work out of sight. For example, public safety communicators who are 911 operators and dispatchers in emergency services, and operational intelligence personnel. So a little bit about why CIPSRT was created, or a little bit of the background. I just include quickly here a prevalence information slide so that you can see some of the data that was collected in regards to mental disorder symptoms and prevalence information in regards to suicide ideation, plans, and attempt. So what this slide quickly is a comparison between the general population and sample versus specific public safety personnel sectors within specific categories, and what their prevalence information is for mental disorder symptoms like PTSD, major depressive disorder, general anxiety disorder, social anxiety, panic disorders, alcohol use, and any other mental disorder. So everything listed on the far left-hand side there is prevalence information that is positive screening percentages for a series of or any mental health disorders. The prevalence information listed is the proportion of the public safety population and specific sectors as they run along the top to be found affected by those measures. And it's important to note that this prevalence information is important is because public safety personnel are obviously, according to this prevalence information, are so disproportionately affected by symptoms of mental health disorders or shifts within their mental health continuum. And so when we receive this data, and now that we have this data and we've looked at it, we know that because public safety personnel are more disproportionately higher at these prevalent screenings, how important it actually is in order to be able to give them tools and techniques, as well as treatment and knowledge in order for them to be able to potentially assist in lowering those numbers. So I myself am a part of a project training team here at CIPSRT. The training team, as always with research, is led by Dr. Nicholas Carlton, who is our scientific director here at CIPSRT and a researcher extraordinaire. We are also supported, obviously, by CIPSRT and Kara and Kyle and the rest of the CIPSRT Hub team. And team training is listed here. There's a picture of myself, Derek, my program coordinator, Caitlin, my administrative assistant or the administrative assistant for the team, Robin, who is a research associate, Dustin, who is our research associate lead, Michelle McCarran, who is also a research associate with our projects, and then Alaya Asmunson. She is a little bit camera shy, so to speak. I don't have a picture of her updated here. So a little bit about the training that we're going to be talking about. So last year, CIPSRT received funding via the Public Health Agency of Canada, so PHAC, to execute training and development programming for public safety personnel. This included a few different things, including launching a Train the Trainer program for R2MR, as well as new online initiatives for R2MR and other training and programming, including the newest training that CIPSRT has developed, which is Treatment 101, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few other slides. Since that funding was initiated, CIPSRT has been successful in receiving extension funding for the next year in order to be able to offer continued and additional training with a research focus behind it as well. So a little bit about Treatment 101. So Treatment 101 is for public safety personnel, and it's an online course designed to guide participants through the process of deciding upon and obtaining services from professional mental health care practitioners. The course itself addresses topics that are specifically relevant to public safety personnel, their leaders, and then also administrators in public safety personnel within specific service organizations. So the good benefit about this course is that it is asynchronous and it is 100% online. It's approximately 6 to 8 hours over the course of 2 weeks. And those who participate and complete the course do receive a certificate of completion. And currently this option is available in English only. However, we are, as always, looking for opportunities in order to be able to translate to French. So this course currently is completed in 2 weeks. So you get 2-week time frame in order to be able to complete the course. Out of the 5 modules, the first 3 modules are released within the first week and require completion within the first week. And then the remaining modules are released in the second week, and a required completion and quiz at the end of the second week is required in order to be able to print a certificate of completion. We did initially have it so that all of the courses were asynchronous for just 1 week, and you would receive all of the content and you had 1 week in order to be able to complete the course. However, from a professional development and adult learning standpoint, we realized that releasing the modules over a 2-week period of time allows for more retention of the knowledge and also allows for people to not rush through the course and to be able to absorb all of the content that is within it. So currently we do have 2 offerings of Treatment 101 open. One is from June 5th to the 17th, and we have a second one open from July 10th to the 22nd of 2023. And then we'll have more offerings coming up here in the fall. So the reason that we designed Treatment 101 is specifically because we have a tool on the CIPSRT website called 6 Steps to Finding a Clinician. Able to see somebody and they are wanting to see somebody in the clinician field. What we found was there was a lot of information and a lot of knowledge, and narrowing down to just the 6 steps on how to properly find a clinician ended up excluding a lot of information, like provincially different types of government rules, things on privacy, different information about different types of practicing clinicians or different types of psychologists and psychiatrists. And we found that there ended up being a lot of information removed from that 6 steps to finding a clinician, but still understood that that content was so valuable. And so what we did when we had the opportunity with the PHAC funding was to be able to build a course out of all of that information and knowledge so that people can access it online and be able to download the information at any given time. So another program that with the extension funding that we're looking to do is give public safety personnel more information about sleep. So poor sleep can impact your physical and your mental health. And research has shown that in samples of public safety personnel that the majority of reported symptoms that are consistent with insomnia is that PSP consistently get less sleep than the general population. Research has also shown that structured sleep education provides public safety personnel with different ways to be able to manage and improve their sleep. So given the increased understanding and the importance of sleep to both mental and physical health, CIPSRT partnered with Dr. Colleen Carney, the Director of Sleep and Depression Laboratory at the Toronto Metropolitan University, specifically to develop a sleep course for public safety personnel. So Sleep 101 is offered fully online, but it does have 4 live synchronous sessions that build upon each concept, one upon the other, that was originally introduced in CIPSRT's Sleep Toolkit, which can also be found as a resource on the CIPSRT website. The first session of the sleep course is mandatory for anyone who wants to take all remaining courses. And currently, it is about 6.5 hours worth of commitment, again, over the course of about 2 weeks. It's in 4 sessions. Each session will feature and is led by Dr. Colleen Carney, and there is an opportunity for interactive activities and questions as well. We do also provide a certificate of completion for anybody who completes all 4 of the sleep courses. And again, this is currently available in English only. So the 4 sessions that are offered for Sleep 101, the very first one, which is that required sleep course that you must take, is called Sleeping Well for Public Safety Personnel, followed by addressing insomnia in public safety personnel, addressing apnea in public safety personnel, and why treatment of your apnea improves your sleep and your life. And the last one being coping with shift work and working within your own internal clock. So this Sleep 101 is actually going to be offered a few times in the fall and in the new year. The spring session actually is just wrapping up today. So unfortunately, there aren't any opportunities for people to be able to take part in Sleep 101 until the fall. However, there will be a fall listing available on our website as of June the 12th, where we will be showing everybody all of our available courses throughout the fall term. And September is when the next Sleep 101 course is going to be offered. So as well as a part of our extension funding, we were able to take the online content we were able to take the face-to-face content for R2MR and convert it into a online program or a synchronous online program that we dubbed or we call ER2MR. So what R2MR and ER2MR is the Road to Mental Readiness program, and it was developed by Canadian Armed Forces as a resiliency training program for their National Police Force. And then we received permission to adapt it specifically for public safety personnel. So through the Road to Mental Readiness Level 1 program, which is what we are currently offering through the extension program, public safety personnel gain key resilience and mental awareness skills, including tactical breathing, mental rehearsal, goal setting, self-talk, and attention control. This training additionally includes generic mental health education, including early identification signs of mental illness, adaptive coping strategies to respond to the risks inherent with our public safety personnel occupations, the importance of peer leadership and peer support, appropriate leadership actions, barriers to seeking mental health care, and then a whole section specifically on stigma and mental health, outlining procedures for assessing mental health, mental health resources. And there is also 2 entire sessions dedicated to suicide awareness and assisting persons in crisis. So the most recent core content that's available for R2MR was developed in 2018 for public safety personnel. It does also consist of 4 modules delivered over the course of 24 synchronous instructional hours. Plus there is actually a leadership module for leaders as well. And ER2MR is also currently being offered through CIPSRT through the PHAC extension funding. There is 1 more session left for June. It is full. However, if people are interested in learning more or interested in learning or interested in signing up for the June session, there is a possibility to sign up for a wait list. We do access that wait list because, you know, as we know, public safety personnel, their schedules shift and they sometimes get called to work. And we do actually go through that wait list. So there is benefit to joining the wait list for June, for the June offering. And again, on June the 12th, we will be listing the dates that we will have ER2MR available as well in the fall. So one of the things that CIPSRT and the training and development program is trying to do is work towards accreditation for sectors and their specific either accrediting bodies or through their associations for continuing education credits, CECs, CACs, CMEs, depending on your organization. And just for some awareness pieces around there for those that maybe might not know, the Alberta College of Paramedics has certified continuing education credits for Treatment 101, ER2MR, and recently, as of yesterday, Sleep 101 courses. The Saskatchewan College of Paramedics has also approved continuing education credits for Treatment 101, ER2MR, and Sleep. The New Brunswick continuing medical education credits are available as well for all 3 training programs, treatment, ER2MR, and sleep. And so that's really great news for anybody who is looking to ensure that not only are we providing these courses as being funded by Public Health Agency of Canada, not only are they good for your mental wellness and well-being, they also will work towards your continuing education credits for your professional designation. So in the past year, for the past PHAC training, we were doing some evaluation, or we are doing some evaluation, and we do have initial exciting program feedback. As we know, changes in mental health and mental health behaviors take time. So we're still studying the long-term changes, and we're still actually receiving the data from that long-term change, if any, from the previous year's worth of training of ER2MR, Treatment 101, and the Train the Trainer program. Currently, under the Extension Training Project, we are researching and gathering data at 4 different time points to be able to see what changes we might be able to see in mental health behaviors and mental health and wellness. So any of the Treatment 101, ER2MR, or sleep programs that you currently will, if you currently enroll in them, you will be receiving a T0 Time Zero survey, which is a pre-course survey determining kind of a baseline of mental health and wellness. You'll receive a T1 survey within 1 week prior to completing the course content to again reevaluate mental health behaviors and wellness. You'll receive a follow-up survey again at 3 months, and then a follow-up survey again at 6 months. Now, with all types of research and providing your feedback via a survey is always optional. However, providing your feedback always helps us keep all of our training programs evidence-informed and evidence-based to ensure that we're offering something that works when and where we need it to for public safety personnel, and also helps your mental health and well-being, because we need to make sure that the programs that we are offering are relevant to you. So some initial program feedback for Treatment 101 is that 75% of people that responded to our survey reported that they learned and 81% remembered a lot or a great deal, so there was a high amount of increased knowledge. 85% of respondents are very or extremely confident that they know how to access mental health services, so that's increased knowledge, as well as some stigma reduction as well. And 82% believe they can implement the skills they have learned very much or extremely immediately, which again is increasing the skills of those who take the time to complete Treatment 101, which again is the 2-week completely online asynchronous course. We do also have some program feedback from the ER2MR courses that we offered over the past year. So 95% of people feel the course is very much or extremely properly addressing issues that are relevant to public safety personnel. 92% noticed a lot or a great deal of changes for the better in regards to their leadership with their own mental health, so positive changes in their behavior and stigma reduction. And 82% believe that they can implement the skills that they have learned very much or extremely well, which again leads to our increased skills. One of the other pillars, and I'll briefly just mention this because this is also a program, however, it's a treatment program. So PSPNet provides service to public safety personnel, including first responders who are suffering from challenges related to depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. PSPNet is an online ICBT, which is Internet Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Programming, available to approved public safety personnel and first responders in Saskatchewan, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, and new as of about a month and a half ago, new to Ontario. If you are not in a province where ICBT or the therapy guided program is available to you, there is also a self-guided wellness course that is available to all public safety personnel across Canada. It's not therapist-led, it is self-led. However, there's lots of great resources in that wellness course as well. You can visit pspnet.ca in order to get any information about that. As well, PSPNet is available in both official languages, English and French, for the Maritimes, Saskatchewan, Quebec, and Ontario. Just a few quick statistics on the outcomes of PSPNet as a program. 99% found PSPNet worth their time and 98% would refer a friend. PSPNet and research partners have also been funded through Public Health Agency of Canada for a program called PSPNet Families, and it is also a well-being hub. And so I'll mention a little bit about PSPNet Families as well, because they also did receive some extension funding. Public Health Agency of Canada funded PSPNet Families, which is a collaboration between PSPNet, the Families Matter Research Group at Queen's University, and the Child Trauma Research Center at the University of Regina. Inside the PSPNet Families hubs, which are obviously resources specifically for family members of public safety personnel, are information designed to address family issues related to occupational risks, aligned with public safety work, tips and exercises to address issues on all of the information provided, as well as a significant other or spouse well-being course, which is adapted from that public safety personnel well-being course that I mentioned in the previous slide. So these are all resources for training and development that are all available to public safety personnel and their families. But we all know that CIPSRT has many different resources. The CIPSRT website, I just have a screenshot up here, available, including all of our self-assessment tools, which is at the very top there in the gray bar under resources. The most recent research on mental health and public safety personnel is located under the red research tab there on the far left. The treatment tab, which is yellow on the screenshot there, connects you to PSPNet and then will therefore also connect you to PSPNet Families. Training is in blue, so that's where you would find, if you're interested in registering for any of our courses, you would go to that training tab and you would click on it for training opportunities, and there's multiple boxes for you to select the programming that you want to check the dates on, and then you go ahead and click register and it'll take you to the registration page. And then on the very far right is the knowledge for you, which is where you'll find all of the toolkits for you to be able to download for resources, all of our webinars, all of our other information on all of our most recent initiatives are listed under that knowledge for you. And at the bottom of all of our CIPSRT pages, including training, there's a stay informed button at the bottom of every one of those landing pages where you can follow all of our social media and get more information about what's going on with training and PSPNet, as well as CIPSRT. So that is just very briefly, Kara, a brief overview of what we've got going on for training and development and some of the other things that are going on at CIPSRT. I will now open it up to any questions. Presentation was quite quick, so we've got time for questions for sure. And I'll pass it back to Kara and Kyle.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That was such a great presentation. I feel like I've learned a ton more about training opportunities and how to access them. So yeah, let's open the floor to questions. I do see that we do have a few in the chat now, so please keep them coming if you have a burning question for Rachel. Yeah, so let's start with question 1.
So
Rachel, do you want?
Yeah, I can see them.
To read this to you? Okay.
No, I've got them.
All right.
I was having technical challenges today and didn't know if I'd be able to access these questions. Leanne asked, can we use your statistics as long as we refer to CIPSRT? So it depends on what statistics you were talking about. If you were talking about that prevalence data that I was mentioning at the top of the presentation for slides, you don't actually reference CIPSRT for that. There actually is reference markers in that slide specifically because you do actually have to reference the research paper, which isn't necessarily directly connected to CIPSRT. So you can use the prevalence data information as long as you are referencing the sources that I have referenced in the slide. So as long as you're consistent with that reference, you can use that prevalence information as well, yes? If that was what you were speaking to, Leanne, hopefully that answers that question. Question 2 to Kathleen, regarding the feedback statistics, how do they compare to what people were when they started the program? So that was a little bit about the slide that I spoke to about the T0 to 3 timings. So that data is still being collected because our training and development programs through the PHAC project, the initial tranche of funding was delayed in its start. They won't release any of the feedback until at least they get some of that 3-month post data. And because some of our programs for the initial PHAC project, some of that training was still going on in February of 2023. And so we might have taken what their skills were at or what their mental health and well-being was at time 0, and we have it at post course. Again, we need to wait for that 3- and 6-month data to come through, and that data hasn't come through yet. And so that's why in the slideshow, I only reference to post-course data. As soon as there are 3- and 6-month data comparisons available, Nick and CIPSRT and the research team will be publishing a paper. So there will be a comparison done, but I don't have anything in this specific slide deck because, again, that research for that 3- and 6-month data is still coming in because, again, that very first initial tranche of funding just ended in March of 2023, and we were holding courses still in March of 2023. So therefore, we're still 6 months out from being able to collect all of the data from that initial set of funding. Question from Randy, any R2MR train the trainers sessions coming to BC? So as a part of the initial PHAC funding, we did offer a train the trainer program session in Vancouver, which is where we master trainer certify level 2 trainers in the BC area. But I don't have any train the trainer sessions coming to BC anytime soon. Just because the second tranche of funding in the extension funding, it wasn't as great, and I didn't have enough funding in order to be able to do train the trainer programs. I do believe, though, Randy, if you would like, if you go to the training webpage or that training opportunities webpage, I believe the tile for Train the Trainer is still up there. And if you click on it, I believe you can submit your name and your location as a submission of interest so that we know where people might want the next set of training to happen if we were to get funding in order to be able to offer another Train the Trainer session. Kelly, we have had healthcare personnel, example Ontario nurses, who are under presumptive legislation who have participated, or sorry, have we had healthcare personnel who are under presumptive legislation who have participated in these training sessions? So CIPSRT's mandate currently is not necessarily healthcare personnel. However, that doesn't mean that our training isn't relevant to them as frontline workers. If somebody from healthcare does take, say, for example, the Treatment 101 program, when they register, they are asked what sector of public safety personnel they're from, and they would have to recognize themselves as an other and then put that they're healthcare personnel. So for Treatment 101, we certainly would not turn anybody away, even if they were from the healthcare profession, if they were interested in taking that Treatment 101 programming. But for some of our other programming, like R2MR or ER2MR, it's dependent on space, and that's why we ask people to list their sectors. But again, we have had some healthcare professionals or social workers even that have gone through some of the Treatment 101 programming. But again, I don't have any long-term data on any specific healthcare personnel specifically, but we wouldn't necessarily turn away healthcare professionals either, especially for sleep or for or specifically for Treatment 101. Nancy, what is the expected timeline for providing training in French? So that's a great question, Nancy. We're constantly actually talking about how we can better offer our programming in both official languages. I know currently at this time, like CIPSRT and the Knowledge Exchange Hub is working with this automatic translation, which is Wordly. And then also there is a knowledge translation hub specifically for our projects called Cipher, and they're also looking into some translation options. They're coming, they just take time. And I know that that feels like not a great answer, but hopefully I think we can at least look at Treatment 101 as being the next program for hopefully receiving translation, because it is synchronous. It's asynchronous, sorry. So it is a little bit easier to provide that translation, but we are working on it. And I think I've kind of got Treatment 101 earmarked for maybe with some collaboration with Cipher in order to be able to get that translation done. So hopefully within the next year, we'll be able to be offering more of our programmings in both official languages. Right now, you can, if there are facilitators available, ER2MR does, we do have it in both official languages. That was a part of the conversion project that I did with the initial tranche of PHAC funding. But you have to have somebody, a bilingual speaker, actually offer the training, and we've only done one so far. But ER2MR is something that is available in both official languages. Kathleen, many of the trainings are geared to currently serving public safety personnel. Any specific training for public safety personnel on leave or retirees? That's a good question. We do get public safety personnel who are on leave through some of our ER2MR programmings for sure, because they have a more widely available schedule than other public safety personnel. So certainly from a perspective of mental health and well-being for those who might be on leave or retirees, you would be welcome to register for ER2MR or for any of the training, to be quite honest. But I don't have anything specific to retirees. I do know that if you're a retiree from the Canadian Armed Forces, that they kind of offer a different style of training, or they kind of offer a little bit of different programming. But currently, for those that are on leave or who are retirees, you'd be welcome to take ER2MR and Treatment 101 if you felt it was relevant to you, but nothing specifically for those geared towards those two groups. Oh, and it looks like Randy has already filled out his interest form and wants to know if we've received it. I can send a message actually to Caitlin and ask her whether or not she can let me know if she received it. And then I think those were all of the questions in the chat.
I see Kyle furiously typing, so there might be one more.
Oh, an offer to help with French. Might offer to help with French. That's great. We're actually always looking for potential assistance with verification of some French language and terminology. We were lucky enough to have some of our bilingual master trainers help us confirm and verify some of the translations for ER2MR, because some of the language has just changed since the initial translation, and so that'd be great. I think my email address is still up on the screen if my PowerPoint is still showing. Yes. If you want to send me an email, Nancy, I'd be happy to connect with you.
I'm just going back in the chat here for the attendee who asked about PSP and retirees. Kathleen, you might be interested in an upcoming webinar. So I'll just pop the details here, and you can take a look in case you're interested. It's about life after service, what I wish I had known, from our Families Matter research group.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, so any further questions for Rachel before we sign up here?
Oh, Randy, we received your request.
That is great. I hope that works out. Okay, so I'm just going to pop my slides back on here for a minute. Oops. Oh. Are they showing? They're not showing, are they? Are they? Okay, great. Sorry, everybody. That was not smooth. Yes, so first of all, I want to thank Rachel Werrett for such a great presentation. I hope that you've all learned a lot about not just the training opportunities, but Rachel, you did such a wonderful job of kind of walking us through treatment opportunities and resources as well. So thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And just a quick reminder that there'll be a survey after the presentation ends, that we'd love it if you would be able to fill out for us if you have any feedback or there's something maybe you want to see upcoming. We'd love to know about it. And yeah, please stay tuned for more of our webinar opportunities. We offer them monthly, and I think that's all I have to say for the moment. And look for an email containing the webinar lecture tomorrow, a recording, I should say. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, and I'll hope to see you all soon. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sarah. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, hi, Kyle. I ended the webinar. I'm not sure why we're why it's not.